Welcome to the afternoon edition of Special Report. I'm Colette Linden with co-host Christopher Oldcorn. We made it to Monday afternoon, Chris.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. We have the Premier coming up.
Yes.
Do you know who he's meeting with today?
Yes, I do. Hold on one sec.
The long-term,
yes.
long-term care.
It's a very interesting meeting because I don't know how these two departments actually would work together.
Yes, it's red tape.
So we're talking with Pragneet Sakaria, who's the Associate Minister of Small Business and Red Tape Reduction. As well, there'll be Dr. Marilee Fullerton, who is the Minister of Long-Term Care. So I'm not sure what small business and long-term care have to do with each other, but we'll find out when the Premier goes live and we can hear from both of them.
Well, good afternoon. This pandemic has tested us as a province, and we have risen to the occasion. Throughout this pandemic, I've heard so many stories. Thousands of Ontarians have stepped up to lend a hand. This morning, I went to the new Daily Bread warehouse. These guys are just incredible over there, absolutely incredible. With funding from the province, they put together 60,000 hampers of food, all to help those most in need across the city. And I also want to give a shout out to Feed Ontario. They were both there, incredible groups. My friends, it's this kind of action that shows what it means to be Canadian. This is what the Ontario spirit is all about. We know COVID-19 has taken a toll on everyone. And for those, this is what the Ontario spirit is all about. We know COVID-19 has taken a toll on everyone. And for those who may be isolated from their loved ones, our seniors and those with disabilities, we know this has been especially difficult, and we're here to help. In April, our government partnered with Spark Ontario. We invested $100,000 to help this platform connect community organizations with the volunteers they need during COVID-19. We issued a call for reinforcements to help us deliver the extra meals and supplies and support those most in need. Today, I'm so proud. Over 6,500 Ontarians answered this call. That's over 6,500 people who raised their hand to help deliver vital necessities, support local food banks, or check in on those call. That's over 6,500 people who raised their hand to help deliver vital necessities, support local food banks, or check in on those who need extra support. To everyone who signed up, I thank you. Almost 1 month ago, we launched the Ontario Community Support Program. Since then, we've received over 500 meal referrals and over 2,000 essential supply referrals for deliveries to those in isolation, low-income seniors, and people with disabilities and chronic medical conditions. The need is great, but the people of this province are meeting the challenge with kindness, compassion, and generosity. My friends, we're all in this together. Let's keep that Ontario spirit going, because that's what will get us through this. Thank you, and God bless the people of Ontario. I'll pass it over to Minister Sakaria.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much, Premier. On behalf of my colleague, the Minister of Seniors and Accessibility, Raymond Cho, I would like to say a few words about the spirit of volunteering in Ontario. As you just heard the Premier say, the incredible work of our volunteers and the commitment of our government have helped Spark Ontario increase its capacity and better respond to the COVID-19 outbreak. During these challenging times, Spark's mission of matching volunteers with local nonprofit organizations and communities all across Ontario couldn't be more important. The work that our Spark volunteers are doing, helping seniors, people with disabilities, and other vulnerable Ontarians get the assistance and support they need, is providing a lifeline and a ray of hope to some of those most deeply impacted by COVID-19. And as the Premier announced, since April 9th, more than 6,500 Ontarians have registered to volunteer through the website, with an additional 3,100 contacting community organizations regarding volunteer opportunities. Thank you to everyone who has volunteered their time to help those in need, and I encourage everyone who can to get involved. If you can volunteer, or if you are looking for volunteers, visit sparkontario.ca. On behalf of grateful Ontarians across our province, thank you for your acts of kindness and generosity. But in addition to our volunteers, Ontario's business community has also been truly extraordinary in their response to COVID-19. People and businesses have made tremendous sacrifices to contain the virus by following guidelines provided by our government and our Health and Safety Association partners. We applaud their efforts. They have made a real difference. And we want to recognize the efforts of those working to lend a hand and offer a shoulder of support. We have shown Ontarians that small businesses truly have big hearts. These 3 businesses are part of the Free Meal Help Initiative and have banded together to create a program that delivers free meals to senior citizens in need throughout my hometown of Brampton. This trio of businesses has worked together to deliver more than 10,000 meals through a no-contact process to seniors in isolation. The difference they are making is real, and they have managed the feat of bringing people closer together in Brampton at a time when social distancing has kept us apart. Through our Small Businesses Big Hearts campaign, which we are launching today, we want to hear more stories that show us what true Ontario spirit is all about. Stories that remind us that Ontario remains a place where people are eager to bring a ray of sunshine into someone else's life. Stories that embody the phrase, small businesses, big hearts. Stories that bring us hope. So please, reach out to share the positive news about small businesses that have gone above and beyond to support your community as we all weather the storm of this pandemic. Let's make sure the Ontario spirit strengthens the foundations of our communities and helps see us through the recovery to come. Thank you.
We'll go to the phone line for questions. First question.
First question comes from Travis Danrash from Global News. Please go ahead.
Hi there. Good afternoon, Premier. As we saw in Trinity Bellwoods, many people are not listening to your advice and the advice of public health officials, and there's no indication that any amount of begging will change behavior as weather gets better and people want to get outside. The case numbers in Ontario are now trending upwards, and the province is failing to meet testing targets. Are you going to be rolling back restrictions that have been eased so far, and if not, why not?
Well, first of all, Travis, I'm disappointed to say the least with everyone that showed up to Trinity Bellwood on Saturday. I went by on Sunday and I didn't see that many people, but my recommendation, anyone at Trinity Bellwood, why don't you do us all a favor and go get tested now? Go to the local hospital assessment center and get tested. And I encourage anyone who's been in large gatherings like that and some of the stuff that was going on there, they need to get tested. So that's what I would recommend. I'm not going to punish the whole province because a group of people in Toronto ended up getting together, and it's not fair to even everyone else in Toronto as well, in all areas of Toronto that didn't have the, as I said on Sunday, it was like a rock concert without the band. So these are smart young people that were there that didn't have the, as I said on Sunday, it was like a rock concert without the band. So these are smart young people that were there. Like, come on, guys, give me a break. Just don't do reckless things like that. I just, because they're obviously smart young people in the city, and that's what took me back. I'm thinking, wow, that's the last group I'm thinking that would be out there, but they did, and now hopefully it's not going to happen again. What I worry about, Travis, is them going back home. How about their family members, their brothers, sisters, mothers, aunts, grandparents? Weren't they thinking of them when they went there? But no, I'm not going to punish the rest of the province.
And on that, first off, do you think the mayor needs to get a test as well, because he was there and he had his mask down? And also, you mentioned Toronto a bunch of times, that you're not going to punish the rest of the province for what happened in Toronto, and we are seeing the largest number of cases in the
Welcome back. Well, this week is Paramedics Week. Now, I keep going to say Pandemic Week, but it's
more
not.
like been pandemic months.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
My mouth is, I'm so used to saying pandemic. So no, we're celebrating paramedics this week. It started yesterday, Chris, but today starts the education component of it. So they're going to be activating 911 and call screening is what Monday's lesson is all about. Tuesday is about personal protective equipment. Wednesday, we have protect the protectors, so help the helpers. Thursday, stay informed. Friday, health and resiliency. And Saturday, paramedic service recognition day. I don't know what that involves, but hopefully some type of drive-by honk, I'm sure, by other frontline workers in Sault Ste. Marie.
Yeah, so definitely a different way to appreciate people this week.
Yeah.
And during this time,
Paramedics
too, so.
in the pandemic. That's why I keep saying.
And they're an integral part of this whole situation
Oh,
as well. I mean,
absolutely.
they are the way that you go from being in a desperate situation
Such
to
an
the
honorable
hospital.
profession for
So,
sure.
Yeah.
Now moving on to our fire services, they were pretty busy over the weekend. There was a big fire on Wellington Street that was caused by a cigarette, and the smoke was near combustible items. It says so. Can only imagine what.
Yeah,
more
let's
into
smoke
that
while we're
story.
spraying WD-40. That sounds like a smart plan.
Exactly. So I don't know if they just had a bunch of cleaners around. Who knows? But there was a ton of black smoke that was coming out of right there in the 300 block of Wellington Street East. It was blocked off. As I actually drove by and I saw the first responders there, and it was literally blocked off right across Wellington. So the second floor had a lot of damage to it, and one person was taken to the hospital as well. So
wow.
And then over in Sudbury, to be exact, it's Minnow Lake actually. There was a standoff that lasted from Saturday. They got the call early Sunday morning around 11:30 a.m. that there was a standoff in Sudbury, the Sudbury area. The OPP and the Tactic and Rescue Unit, along with the emergency response team, spent all night dealing with that. And early Monday morning, this morning, it finally came to an end when they had the second guy, who was a 23-year-old man, was taken into custody.
Wow.
So busy weekend for all our fire and our and our paramedics
As if we need that on
and
top
our
of
police
everything else.
services. Yes,
Yeah.
and there's some wildfires that we'll get to later on too. But how about we talk about that weather for a little bit?
Yes, it is nice and warm outside right now,
It's
27.
nice and muggy. I love it.
And yes, it is definitely humid. It's over 30 with the Humidex.
Woohoo!
So it's getting up there. We are finally starting to see some summer type temperatures now. We're already at our high at 27 today. Tomorrow, it's gonna be a high of 30 now. That's not including the Humidex. With the Humidex, you're gonna be looking at 34, 35.
Oh, it's beauty.
Also thunderstorms again tomorrow. So basically the same type of weather there was today. However, on Wednesday will just be rain. It'll be 28 with a low of 16. Also on Wednesday, you're going to be looking at sort of the low 30s with the Humidex, 31, 32. So we are starting to see summer now, and that is a welcome change.
I'm so
Since
excited.
Mother's Day we had snow. So
Oh yeah, don't go there.
yeah, that was only 2 weeks ago, folks.
So Father's
now
Day.
we actually we've kind of skipped spring. More or less. I mean, we went from winter to summer this year.
For sure.
Spring was like what, 7 days maybe? Like at best?
That's okay. I'm okay with that actually. But I wish we could just stay in summer. But this humidity, oh, bring it on, bring it on, bring it on. We've got some more coming up. We've got some more news that we're going to keep going on with a couple more sections of news. You've got your COVID-19 update, but we will
Absolutely.
be right back after this message with all that information.
What's life without making a few mistakes down the road? A few sharp turns. And doing things for what we adore, but might regret later. A trip to Chuck's Roadhouse isn't one of them. With melt-in-your-mouth AAA steaks, buttery lobster tail, half-priced apps after 9 p.m., an ice-cold draft with all your Roadhouse favorites. Chuck's Roadhouse. Food the way it ought to be, priced the way it used to.
a message from the Government of Canada.
In your home, lighting is just as important as style.
With PowerView Motorization from Hunter Douglas, you can schedule your shades to light up the room, create privacy, or both, automatically. No hands required.
So your shades will always be in the right place at the right time in style. And it's only from Hunter Douglas.
And welcome back to the special report, afternoon edition. I'd like to thank KC Securities for sponsoring us. Thank you very much, Daniel. We've got a couple of Facebook shout-outs, one to Tammy Lynn and another to Helen. Thank you very much for watching. We appreciate it.
Happy Monday afternoon, guys.
Yes, happy Monday afternoon.
I've got a question for you. So later on in the show, I've got the top 10 things that you should and shouldn't buy at Costco. So before we get to that segment, we want you guys to respond. What are some of the things you buy at Costco? And we'll see if it's on the top 10 hit or miss list. So Facebook Live us that answer and we'll get back to the end of the show.
Absolutely.
All right, over to you,
Good idea. Okay, so now I got a little bit more from my interview with Dr. Samantha Hill. She is the president of the Ontario Medical Association, and I interviewed her at the end of last week. You can see the full interview on YouTube and also on Facebook, and here we go. Sort of the community health infrastructure, such as doctors, offices, and so on. What is the public going to see over the next few weeks and months as that part of the healthcare system starts to loosen up a little?
Thank you so much for that. So that's a really challenging scenario. We know that over the last 8 to 10 weeks, we've created a backlog of non-emergent care by deferring all of these patients who weren't emergent so that we had room to deal with the COVID patients when they came in. So all of those patients are still coming and they still need to be seen. Their care and their disease processes haven't stopped. In addition, we're reopening, and that creates the possibility of a second wave of COVID. Now, add to that the challenge that a lot of these community clinics haven't seen patients over the last little while, or certainly not enough to be able to bring in the same income that they usually bring in, but have had the same overhead that they would have had every month previously. A lot of these community clinics are struggling, and we've heard that there are doors closing. We've heard that there are people who just can't pull any more money out of their personal savings to keep their clinics afloat. And I worry a lot, actually, that as everything comes to a head, as the COVID wave comes, maybe as the influenza wave comes, as all of this backlog of care comes, that if we lose even 5 or 10% of our community clinics, although the data says we might lose more than that, that patients are going to suffer, and that's a challenge.
And that was part of my interview with Dr. Samantha Hill, the president of the Ontario Medical Association. And you can see that full interview on YouTube and also on Facebook video as well on our Facebook page. Today I interviewed Diane Boudreau. She is running for Region 4 of the Provincial Council of the Métis Nation of Ontario. You can see that interview tonight at 7 here on TV. You can stream it through our website. And it'll also be on tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. on Facebook Live. Also, we have a new case in Sault Ste. Marie of COVID-19. We don't know much about it. We don't know male, female, gender, or anything. We just know that it was from some sort of exposure in the community. So the last few cases for Algoma and specifically Sault Ste. Marie have all been community transmission, except for one that was international travel. But of all the active cases we have, only one was international travel and the rest were community transmission. So please wear your face masks, your gloves, be careful when you go out in public, keep social distancing, don't be like those dingbats or yahoos or whatever, yeah, that Doug Ford calls them, that were at Trinity Bellwood Park in Toronto this past weekend. Keep your distance. We have plenty of space up here. There's no reason you need to be within 6 feet of anybody else up here in Sault Ste. Marie and Algoma.
Yeah.
It's not like Toronto where we got 5 million people. We got to manage 70,000 people in a very large area. I mean, people per square foot here is probably pretty low compared to most of Toronto and surrounding areas where it's hard to get away from people. Here, it's like hard to find people. So keep your social distancing going. Also, this is actually very promising. It just came out literally about 12 minutes prior to the show. Ooh. We have, here in Canada, in Saskatchewan, there's a group of researchers who have actually tested a vaccine for COVID-19, including 28 days apart, 2 shots, and then they tested the animal to see if they could, if they would develop COVID-19. And they didn't. Guess what type of animal they used?
I was just going to ask you that. A rabbit.
No, ferrets. Apparently ferrets are very susceptible to respiratory illnesses, and that's who they test coronaviruses on. But the good news is, the ferrets who received the vaccine didn't die. They had developed the antibodies.
No animals were hurt during this.
No, so that was a small-scale test. So now they have to do a larger animal test first, and then they can move into human trials, but they could be in human trials as early as this fall.
Really?
However, we're still looking at 2021 for a vaccine. We are a little more careful in Canada when it comes to medical things and allowing them to actually happen.
As we should
Unlike the US that used a small little test box that they thought would test for COVID-19, and 50% of the people who were positive for COVID-19 tested negative on the box. So the box was only right 50% of the time.
Right.
Good job there. They took it off the market. We didn't allow that to happen here. We are a little bit more stringent on what we're allowing with regards to vaccines and testing. What we're doing in Canada can be much more trusted than what you're seeing south of the border right now, because they are trying to rush through things there, and they're just making mistakes. And I mean, you can't create a test machine in under a week and then hope that it works correctly.
No,
I'm sorry. Like any scientist I've spoken with and medical people, they all said that was crazy nuts that they somehow created this machine in literally 8 days and got approval within 8 days.
So do you know
totally from beginning the starting machine to approval date was 8 days.
Do you know what the bigger animal is that coming after the ferret? Did they?
Well, just more ferrets.
More ferrets.
Yes, because they are the ones most likely to suffer from
Okay, but we're going from ferrets to humans? There's not there's not an in-between there?
No, they did it on a small batch of ferrets first, and now they're going to do it on a larger group.
Okay,
So,
well that sounds interesting.
They didn't say how many they used though. But I mean, this literally came out about 12 minutes before we went to air. So.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks for that.
Promising stuff coming out of Saskatchewan, actually. So.
Okay, cool. So over in Michigan, just to talk about stuff that's going on there.
There's a lot of stuff going on that shouldn't be.
As you know, the governor, Gretchen Whitmer, she had a lot to say when the president went to Ford and didn't abide by their state law. And
not even close.
No.
Yeah.
So, pretty much would say, don't come back if you're going to disrespect our state law. However, she's now kind of retracting that a little bit because of why? Because she's worried about funding, because he's got all the powers. So now she's kind of backpedaling her comments and conversation around that. She's saying that she had a lack of sleep. I mean, I don't think she spoke out of turn at all. He wasn't abiding by.
Quite frankly, she was correct, like fully.
Yeah, but I mean, just for her to have to do that after she's in the right. For her stance that she took, and because she's worried about her state not getting any funding, she has to shut her mouth.
Yeah, unfortunately with Donald Trump,
what kind of government
you have
really
to just
is that?
pat his ego on whatever if you want something.
Yeah.
You see something negative, then he just lashes out and attacks you. That's been his entire political career since he literally came down the stairs in Trump Tower and basically called all Mexicans rapists and murderers. And it's pretty much been downhill since there.
Another thing for his highlight reel.
Yeah, it's been downhill since there with him with regards to you have to literally puff up the guy's ego if you want him to do anything for you. If you say something negative, he lashes out, and then all of a sudden, you're in the wrong.
Kind of sounds like a toddler a little bit.
Yes, yeah. Well, we did have that Trump baby on.
Oh, that's true too.
Yes, we did have the Trump baby.
England,
yes,
in London.
yeah.
We have Ontario's extending a line of credit for up to $500 million to the Ontario Lotto Gaming Corporation, or I guess the corporation's not in there, but so there's another big loan coming out of the government there. Now, what are your thoughts on all this money coming out and all these bailout things, bailout funds? What does this mean for us for taxes down the road? How are they going to recoup these costs? I did hear that there is a COVID-19 charge that's going to be on your receipts from now on too. I don't know what the percentage is, but that is, I guess, I don't know if that's up to the municipality. We do know that Toronto has its own City of Toronto Act, and they're allowed to implement those type of, I know Niagara Falls can too because of their hospitality tax, but what's going on with this COVID-19 tax?
It's voluntary at the present moment in time.
Okay.
Some retailers are doing it to try and recoup some of the losses that they've had over the last little while because they weren't able to open. However, if I'm a retailer and I know the shoe store across the street is charging that, I'm not going to charge it. Because I'd rather have the business than make an extra 3%.
But I do believe in Niagara Falls, if you are there and you
if they
argue the charge.
If they can do it across the entire the entire region or city, then that's fair. But
Right.
if I'm in an area where it's not being enforced across the whole area
Right.
and it's an
It's kinda
option,
like price gouging
because
a little bit,
right
yeah.
now the actual surcharge is actually going to the company, not the government.
Right.
So if Niagara Falls puts something in like that, they can because of the hospitality, and then it would go to the government. But in Toronto, it's not going to the city. It's
No.
actually going to the businesses
That's what I wanted to know.
themselves.
Okay, so but I do know in Niagara Falls, if you see that charge on your receipt, you can argue that and they can take it off because it's
Yeah.
not, your HST is on there, but any other tax that's on there, you have every right. But people don't check the receipts
Yeah.
or they don't get it. So there's a little tip for you when you go to Niagara Falls. Don't pay that extra
Yeah.
percentage.
Well, I mean, I can see why the Lottery and Gaming Commission
I'm hearing
needed
in my
that
ear.
money.
You're telling me now information I could have used
Yeah.
yesterday.
But I
Well,
can see why they need that loan because none of the casinos are operating.
Oh, no, I understand that. But it
so,
just brought me to
yeah.
that other point of how are we going to recoup these costs? Is it going to affect us, our taxes? Is it going to affect us next tax season? Who knows?
We're literally borrowing money at 0%, so it's not really a big issue. In the grand scheme of things, the cost of what's going on with COVID-19, yes, the numbers are big and they seem
Yeah.
big to us here, but the numbers will be much worse if we didn't do this because we're in a much better position to recover our economy compared to other countries that are not spending this type of money. And
Right.
you're seeing in the States, 20, 30% of people not even paying their mortgages already in the
Yeah,
States,
it's awful,
and
right?
in Canada it's only 12%. So
Oh, that's good. That's good.
our government seems to be managing this well.
I agree. Now let's move on to a little sports and entertainment. Get out of the COVID talk for a second because I think we're all getting a little bit. Well, I know I'm up to here. And I still want to know how many times we said COVID-19 since the middle of March. I really want to go back to all our newscasts and our shows.
Yeah, a ton.
I couldn't even imagine. Anyways, the best and worst items at Costco are coming up. But before we get to that, I just want to acknowledge it's Kim Ye's anniversary. That's
Who?
Kim and Kanye.
Oh, sorry.
We merged their names. They're Kim Ye. Okay.
I missed that.
It's their 6 years of wonderful marital bliss that they've been going. I'm
Surprised it didn't come up in my Google Calendar today as a holiday.
You don't remember it? You didn't. You didn't add that down when they got married.
I get confused. I thought it was 7 years, but you never know.
Look at them. I mean, come on. Look at her. So pretty. Who couldn't be pretty with all that money, though? Happy anniversary to Kim Ye, and their children's name, because we did have this conversation in another show, is Saint, Chicago, Psalm, and North. Those are the 4 children's names in 6 years. So,
wow.
Yeah, that's quite a mouthful. On the weekend, there was a golf tournament. Somewhat for COVID-19, and if I could find it in front of me for a second, I can get the exact numbers for you. But it raised a heck of a lot of money, and it was Tom Brady, easy on the eyes, Tom Brady, Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, and Peyton Manning, and Peyton Manning and Tiger Woods were coupled, and they won. But they raised, I can't get the exact amount, but it's $20 million.
Wow.
Yeah, and they weren't expecting to raise that much. I think within the first minute and a half, they're already hitting at 10. So a lot of big players put in their money there. So awesome,
Good on
awesome
them for
stuff,
doing that, though.
right? I know,
Yeah.
I know. Okay, best and worst items at Costco. Don't buy Kirkland laundry detergent. Ask me why.
Why?
Because there is a deadline on laundry detergent. After 6 months, it goes to waste. Did you know that?
Okay.
Yeah. Mine doesn't last that long in my house, so I never
mine-
would know that.
yeah.
But you're buying in bulk, it's sitting on the shelves.
Yeah.
Do buy maple syrup because it is very expensive to go anywhere else, but at the Costco brand, the Kirkland brand, it's supposed to be amazing. Do buy uncooked cookies. Hardly anyone knows this, but in Costco stores across Canada, you can buy cookies for a lot less. So their pastries are cheap, so if you're hungry and you want some sweets, go buy that. Don't buy books because you can't buy books in bulk. They're just single copies,
that's
right?
true.
So you end up spending more money. Do buy toilet paper, which I think we could have used that information in mid-March, right?
Yeah,
we could have
I'm
all
pretty
traveled
sure
down to Sudbury.
anything on a roll right now is
right?
pretty good. That would have been useful about 2 months ago
Yeah, exactly.
when there was no toilet paper and
and you had the security guards.
get,
That's right.
yeah, security guards guarding toilet
That's
paper
so
at Food
funny.
Basics. I'm like,
What about olive
what is
oil?
this world coming to?
You got to buy olive
Yeah.
oil and buy gas. When you go to Costco, make sure you buy gas. It's the cheapest gas. That's it. That's all I have for this Monday afternoon. Have a great evening. We'll see you tomorrow morning.
See you at 7.